Bada bing. All right, we are streaming. Desktop audio is, let's see what's going on here. Desktop audio is up. So let's go filters. Let's go there. No, I don't want any silly effects. Properties. Data bada bing. Rode wireless. Filters. Gain, that's fine. Let's add another desktop recording. Oh, desktop audio filters. Add gain. We'll call it gain, and we'll turn it up a little bit. So let's see if that works. So that trick worked on my speakers. Let's see. Can you go ahead and say something, man?
How's the night treating you, man?
There we go. I hear you nice and loud. Hopefully people hear you on the other end. Let's see. People are posting.
Hello, fellow meanies. You're probably wondering, why am I on a new account from the several year ago time I was here. Let's not worry about that.
If I could type, it would be amazing. You think, I used to do it for a living. Discord.
Oh, you mean on the stream? I was gonna say there's a message feature in the corner, but never mind.
Yeah, you got that. And Goblin Scribe is actually on he's chatting with us via the chat on YouTube.
Oh, the irony there is palpable.
Yeah, there. So we'll move that over here and put it right there so we can see it. And he's posting it there. Coco B and Brad Goblin Scribe is in. So if you guys can head over to the House of Mean, which is audio/video on my Discord, that would be awesome. Star Anvil Studios. Oh my God, I got all the pros in here, man. So hopefully we can get them into the House of Mean.
Nice.
Get it so you just don't see my big ugly mug, my big furry face. But you're
a good time, man.
I got my coffee, so life is good.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to lose weight, so I went Diet Coke.
Ah, there you go. Well, I hate to say this, but as a guy that used to weigh well over 300 pounds, I can tell you water is your friend. Everything else is shite.
You say that I've about doubled or tripled my intake since I've started my new diet, and I will say it feels a lot better.
Yeah, water is amazing. And Mios or any of those water, I don't want to say supplements, but that's what they are. If you can get into any of those in your system, because I personally hate the taste of water. Yeah. Ron, we always got room for one more. If you go down to the voice channels and you click on the House of Mean, just turn your camera on. I see J1066 is typing. Because the problem is I'm sitting down for dinner, so I can't be on voice right now. Totally understand, Star Anvil. Hopefully when you're done, you'll come hop in and we can talk turkey. That would be awesome.
Very valid reason.
Yeah. Those guys that are in the YouTube chat, can you hear the Witch King okay? Is his audio coming through clear?
I did not know someone else has joined us.
I gave you my list on. Oh, Miguel, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. No, there's some people that are on the YouTube chat because I'm live streaming it right now.
Oh.
Yeah, but don't open your live stream because then you'll get echo and feedback, and there's like a 3 to 5 second delay.
Hello, fellow people. Then
Yeah, so hopefully everybody can hear you. Ron, I don't know how familiar you are with Discord. Ron Talks Tabletop is a fellow YouTuber and a super awesome, cool dude. And so if you jump into the Discord there and you just click on the House of Mean, your mic and camera hopefully are all set up. We're gonna have a little couple of, I don't know who J1066 is or 1099. I'm not sure if that's J1066 is typing. Putin believes that the first nation to fully develop AI will control the world. I think we are creating a new god. Okay, that's different, Jay, but I get where you're coming from. We're in the House of Mean right now in the audio channel. So right now I'm streaming. You can see my lovely iPad and all my paints and my iPad little stand here that I use.
I like the shelf setup. I don't think I've complimented you on that yet. It looks very nice.
What, this?
Behind you, yeah.
Oh yeah, that shelf is 8 feet tall and about not quite 6 feet wide. It's like 5.5 feet wide. And yeah, it's pretty packed. I got room for more though. I just sold about $200 worth. Actually, these 3 cardboard boxes back. You can't really see them because my fat head's in the way. But those cardboard boxes down there are all full of books that I'm selling. So Noble Knight Games is buying them. So it's worth a lot more than $200, but it is better than. There's no place up here in upstate Duluth to sell stuff like that. So I gotta.
I plan to do something beneficial of some sort with all the 5e modules I've accumulated. I'm keeping the setting books and the third-party stuff I have, but the modules I plan to do something with.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm changing some things around here, so just keep chatting. We're gonna.
I'm a new person.
There we go. Okay.
But he's new to me.
That's Ron Talks Games. What's up, Mr. Ron? Oh, and you're coming in loud and clear, brother.
Great. I just put my girls to bed. Hopefully they won't bother me.
Oh man, children are beautiful and they don't bother. Look what I got to work with, man. I got this little monster. Oh wait, camera's over here. Look at that. Look at that little beast. He keeps me busy, man. In fact, he's out there playing right now. I can hear him with mom. So, how old are your girls? Nice, good ages. That's those ages that keep you busy. Turn you down. I'm gonna turn Timberwolf up a little.
Well, it is very nice to meet you, Ron. And hello.
Ron runs a YouTube channel where he talks about games too.
I think I've seen your stuff here and there and recommended. I will give it a chance next time it pops up for me. So
yeah, like and subscribe. Add it to the doobly doo, as Matt Colville likes to say.
Yes.
So what's going on, Ron? What's up in your world?
And so that role playing game for me for 2022. Once I jump into something random between now and the year. Better than that, I play board games too. I'm actually prepared for having a pro show for board gaming. It's great. Had people here for a couple of years.
Nice.
We got a Christmas one shot to wrap up our D&D stuff before we start finally doing it. We're going to be running a Dark Sun game. I'm very excited to be doing that.
Yeah, you've been talking about that in the Discord.
I'm very happy because I've taken a lot of people in the DMing sphere that have done it for a while, their advice. I've really looked at the stuff I've bought over the years to help me make my session prep easier. I found something that works, and I'm very happy with the results thus far that it's bared for fruit.
That's good, man. That's awesome.
Yep. I decided to hit up DM's Guild, like a lot of people, big surprise, and I bought the second edition hardcovers I could for Dark Sun, so I got the hardcover version of the first box set and Dragon Kings and I got everything else pretty much that I need. Ironically, for the monsters I've been using thus far in my other two Dark Sun games run on Discord for friends of mine. Um, that's where I'm also testing what I've been doing. Ironically, I've been using the monsters from the 5th edition conversion by Sandy Peterson for his Call of Cthulhu stuff, and I will say from personally using them, they're very effective and fun creatures. What I will say, as much as I do like the content, the website which you have to buy them from leaves a little bit to be desired. But with that being said, they do say literally on the website they're short staffed at the warehouse, so their staffing for their internet notification. I don't know what you would call that department. Basically, their job is to send the notification emails. They're short staffed in that area at the warehouse, so say you order something from them, uh, usually it'll be the minimum waiting period before they notify you it's been sent out that you'll get it. Just because they're really short on people right now, in the company's defense.
Timber, I'm going to pick on you for a minute, and because you got your camera down low, your hand is blocking your face,
Sorry.
and you're hitting your phones. All we hear is pat pat pat. So yeah, you know, first of all, COVID, the retail market, you know, obviously in the aftermath of COVID has been hit really hard. Supply chain is hit really hard. You know, China, literally on slow boats from China. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I support Castles and Crusades so much is they're printed in America. There's no China shipping involved. Not that I have anything against China, but I want to see products produced in America and put Americans to work. So, because our economy is hurting and we need all the help we can get. TTBS says, "What's up, Taiwan? Stay strong." And Chen is in here again. Hey, Chen, I don't know if you can use Discord over there in Taiwan, but we're happy to have you here again, man. Thanks a lot. And Coco B, is the audio turned up a little bit better? I created a gain for the computer mic, which is basically the guys coming through my speakers. So hopefully that works a little bit better. Um, and if you're in the Discord chat, the House of Mean, that's the voice channel, you can actually pop in there and you can turn their volume up on your own by just right clicking on their name. So I think Brad's going to join us in a minute. He's setting up his microphone. Brad is from Goblin Scribe Gaming. That he's made a couple of cool things for low fantasy gaming, which is awesome, by Steve Grodznicki. And let's see what else. Who we got? Oh, and in Star Anvil Studios is hopefully he's sitting down for dinner. So hopefully when he's done with dinner, he'll pop in and say hi. He's got Saints and Sinners and a couple other cool games that he has produced for Tiny D6, I believe. I think we're going to get a Savage Worlds version as well. I'm hoping. And then he's working on a super secret project with involving superheroes, which I think I'm going to play test for him. I hope. So that's what's going on with Mr. Mean. Yeah, I just uploaded my top 5 RPGs, mostly fantasy. I'm going to do one that's going to be a non-fantasy RPG, which is going to include supers and other stuff. It's hard, man, to narrow down to 5 RPGs.
Yeah.
One of my first videos that I did when I started, or really restarted the channel in 2019, was about superhero games that I actually have on the shelf. I have more in PDF. I'm sure people can identify with that. There's a lot of pretty good ones out there.
Hey, I know that mug. That's the Bradorama.
I like the bean.
That's because he's going bald. Don't let him fool you. I know. You know, not everybody can rock the awesome.
Not a hipster joke. I want to make that clear.
It was not a hipster joke. And that's a cute beard.
The beanie and beard combo is not bad. I'm just saying, year round is not a bad combination.
Well, Brad, you live where it's pretty cold, don't you?
I I say that because a personal friend of mine literally does it most every day.
Where are you at, Brad?
Kentucky, it's pretty freaking cold here.
Yeah.
Minnesota, it's been past fun few days in the Twin Cities. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's we've been pounded by snow the last 3 days. In fact, today I went to work Monday and Tuesday. I was off Wednesday, Thursday because just couldn't get to work, and my son's school was closed, so I had to stay home because my wife unfortunately has COVID right now. So she was running. Yeah, oh, she's on the mend, but she was running a fever for the last 2 days, and so she couldn't really keep up with the little guy. So I'm just checking. Witchcraft. Miguel says that Witchcraft is a new one. Miguel, go check it out. It is. I think it's still free on Drive Through RPG, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I just uploaded my top 5 RPGs. So, Ron, I did watch your superhero video, and I got one. I don't know if you know about this one. Is it? Where is it? What did it? Nope. What did I do with it? Where did I put it? Oh, I hate it when I do that. I move stuff around. Oh, there it is. Rah!
Sorry if you're doing something I can't see it because your video is too much. I wonder if
Do you have that one, Ron?
That's pretty cool.
can't see your video.
What happened?
You see your video.
Oh no. Yeah, maybe refresh.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh. I've been reading this one. I haven't actually got to play it though. Oh, he went away and he came back. Let's see.
What did I do?
We see you. We hear you.
Okay, now I got it. Okay.
Do you see that? Do you have that one, Ron?
I've heard of it.
It's pretty good, I will say. And I was really blown away and impressed with Tiny D6 Supers. I got to say, I did like that one.
It is pretty cool.
It is. It's pretty impressive. The simplicity.
Yeah, TTBS in the Yahoo in the YouTube chat says Saints and Sinners based on the Vampires and Wizards. No, Saints and Sinner is Star Anvil Studios IP of a dystopian future, kind of like a futuristic cyberpunk, but more sci-fi. It's amazing. We're waiting on physical books. I think the Kickstarter's done. And hopefully we'll be getting physical books sometime soon. I hope. I don't know. Hopefully when he jumps on the channel, we'll get our books. And I just got noticed that Ironsworn is or Starforged Ironsworn or whatever it is shipping.
Yeah, I backed the Kickstarter for that.
Yeah, me too. So I didn't go crazy. I just got the core book. There's going to be a spiral bound book and some other stuff. Yeah, the hardback book.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad?
What I got?
What you got? Well, besides knocking shit over, I mean, I'm going to tell your mom. You're going to get in trouble.
Oh shit. Well, so I don't have it actually, but I printed out.
Revolt. Ooh, I like the cover.
It's backward.
So give me this. No, it's right side. We're seeing it right. If it's backwards on your screen, it looks good on ours. What's Revolt, man? Give us the 5-second sales pitch.
So rules.
Okay, you're done. Next. If I'm not mean, what am I? Right?
No.
Oh, we lost Ron. Maybe he'll come back. Anyway, give us the 5-second spiel, man.
Yeah. So rules like post-apocalyptic. The biggest inspirations I would say are Mad Max, Secret of NIMH, and Red One.
Secret of NIMH?
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking like furries and stuff, or
Just like animal people, like not full on
mutants?
Not like
I don't think it's called. Is it called Biomutant? Are they kind of like that?
Well, they're just beast people. Beast folk is what I call
Okay.
Hit up the Apple. Let me hit the store. I can say for sure whether or not that's what they
them.
That's what you're working on, right? That's being produced by you
Yes, sir. And
on drive-through.
Mhm. I'm actually thinking about going Kickstarter with it too, because I got an artist. He's commissioned a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna do more in February. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm already up to about 120 pages.
Nice. Well, you know, Mr. Mean will pimp it for you, so you know.
I'll get you a copy. Don't
Well,
worry.
oh, I know you well. I'm not worried about that. I want to see it come to fruition. That's all. Um, we lost Ron. I hope Ron's okay.
I think he was.
Oh, he's going to get on another machine. He said.
Gotcha.
So
I'm probably the least interesting person with my newest thing, but I guess I'll flash it anyways.
Nice.
I just did a review of it.
Yeah, so you want to know what's funny? So I got my physical cop. So I'm gonna finally address this because I have not seen anyone with your willingness, Mr. Mean. I've not seen anyone talk about this on YouTube yet. The issue I ordered that cover, but they gave me this one, so apparently that one is not the alternate. I'm not gonna worry about it. One being I got my copy.
This is the alternate cover, by the way. The other one is the normal street cover. This is the one that was provided to retailers, and you had to special order it. Only retailers are only getting certain copies. Yeah.
Ignore anyone listening to this. Ignore the person who is incorrect. My apologies. Now back to my point. I did not mind having to pre-order it in order to get both a physical and online copy because I started using D&D Beyond because come in a few years I'm probably going to be leaning more heavily on that than physical and save my physical shelf space for the full third-party stuff I come across for both 5e and other RPGs just because spaces.
Exactly. Totally understand.
Um,
Say what, Brad? You got to speak up, buddy. We got to turn your mic up. That's all. I got you cranked almost all the way. Can barely hear you. Say something.
Okay.
There. It's hard to get good help, man. It's hard to get good help.
Better.
That's much better. Thank you.
But yeah, the only real issue I'd have to say if a friend is their first time doing the physical digital bundle is when they sent the confirmation email that my order was shipped, they forgot to include the redeem code. But what I will say is it was only like maybe a 6 hour wait, and I emailed the coast report like, hey, support, gave them my order number, said I didn't get the redeem code. Within 6 hours, boom, there.
Yeah.
So while I would have preferred it was there in the email as it was planned, they probably were sending hundreds of these out in one day. So I'm not really going to hold it against them for the first time they're doing this bundle, anyways.
You know, I'm going to disagree with you, Timberwolf, because I feel that they they pimped that basically, right? You go on their webpage and they were talking about if you pre-order the book,
Mhm.
you get the digital copy, and then did you pay extra to get it in D&D Beyond?
So basically, they had a redeem code they were going to include with the email that your product is shipped, and what happened was they forgot the code in the shipment.
Yeah, see, to me, that's unacceptable. That's not cool because here you are, you've paid your money, you pre-ordered it, right?
Mhm.
So, and who knows how many other people pre-ordered like months in advance as soon as they knew this was coming out, right? So they've tied up here's my argument, and I'm not bashing on Wizards of the Coast. This would apply to anybody. Your Kickstarters are notorious for this, but that's a whole different argument. You pre-ordered XYZ. Let's just say, argument's sake, 3 months in advance. So for 90 days, they've had your money right? You mean to tell me within that 90 days they couldn't do the back end work to make sure that on launch day you get your code automatically? That's a failure of business practices, and that's lackadaisical attitude on their part.
That is fair.
Hmm.
I am probably looking at it the standpoint where I did it within the last 3 days.
Doesn't matter. You pre-ordered. The here's the thing. You pre-ordered. Their pre-order says if you pre-order it, you get the PDF and you get the digital code for D&D Beyond, right? That's what the pre-order. It doesn't say 6 hours later you get the code, right? You know, it's like you go into the mechanics and you say, I want my car detailed, and they say, okay, come back at 3 o'clock, it's done. You come back at 3:15 and it's, oh, they tell you 2 more hours. You're pissed, right? Because they promised goods and services at a certain time and they did not deliver. And one of the things that really annoys me about the gaming industry is everybody has a very professional, unprofessional attitude towards it. It's a business like everything else. And if you don't maintain your business properly, you will lose customers. And that's proven by the fact that a lot of the things that WotC's been doing, they're losing people hand over fist, because people are tired. I mean, the Dragonlance book, while it is a gorgeous book, and I think it's beautiful, I'm so happy I pre-ordered it, and I pre-ordered it from my local game store on a whim. I just happened to be in there, and the young lady worked behind the counter was like, "Hey, we got the book in. Do you want to take a look at it? I can't sell it to you until Tuesday, but if you pre-order it, I'll sit. We only got 4 copies, so if you set one aside, I'll hook you up." And so I was one of the first ones to pre-order it. I'm getting some feedback from somebody. So that's who's ever. Ron, it happened when you jumped on, but you're muted. So it's either coming from. Yeah.
That fix it.
Yes. So it was coming from you. Maybe your volume was up. Your speakers were up too loud. But anyway, I pre-ordered it, a week before it came out, a couple of days before it came out, and then she said, "Come by Tuesday and you could pick it up." I didn't get down to the game store until Friday, but I picked it up on Friday. And I'm like I said, I think it's a beautiful book. Somebody said, I don't remember who said it, on the YouTube review, said that it should have been 2 separate books, and I wholeheartedly agree. The problem with that is there's not enough content. The adventure is solid. It takes you from level 1 to level 10. That's amazing. That could be a separate book, $25, maybe $30. I would respect that. The information in like the gazetteer is woefully thin. It's only a third of the book. The other 2/3 of the book is the adventure, and everything that you need as a GM to run that adventure, which is awesome, but it was woefully lacking on the world detail. I feel. But anyway, that's my point of view, whether I'm right or wrong.
I agree, and I don't want to march over well-treaded ground, so I'm going to keep this brief. Out of respect that the ground I'm about to tread on has been done by much more knowledgeable people than me that are much more skilled in this than I. This is from the viewpoint of someone. I'm gonna open the can of worms. I promise I will not rank on this. But the reason for me as a person, I was disappointed with the previous book before Dragonlance. I guess books plural. But the page count comes out to, I believe, less than Xanathar's Guide. We're not gonna worry about that. The reason for me that I was not happy with 5e Spelljammer, this is me as a person, I may differ on this opinion. I did not hugely need rules for ship to ship combat in that system. That is not what from 2e Spelljammer I wanted in the 5e book. That's my opinion. What I wanted was a very small list of things. Codified long distance travel rules for planet to planet. More detail on how the air bubbles function. The planetary table rules for generating your own planetary spheres from 2nd edition. Probably a few more spells to assist your Spelljammer being more effective. The two that are there are good. They're a good start. They're not what we should have. And I'm gonna have to say codifying the big antagonistic factions. Now, my knowledge of Spelljammer is very small. I'm not AJ Pickett or Jordan, but what I do know is that beholders and mind flayers are some of the big factions out there. And from someone who's read the 5e Spelljammer stuff, the mind flayers and beholders they've added are very good. But I do think we could have more details about um, the main hive mother in the setting. Her name sadly escapes me. Basically, she's the big head of the beholders. Claw, and the leader of the most infamous mind flare vessel.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me hold you right there. Ron, we'll go around here. Did you pick up Spelljammer, or do you know about it? Do you care about it? Is it not your cup of tea?
I did not pick it up, and I don't particularly care one way or the other about Spelljammer.
Gotcha. Brad.
I'm a big 5e guy, much like yourself there, but I have the second edition one that I got print on demand, and that's more than enough for me. Because it's like a book like this thick.
Right.
I was going to say, in addition to that, is that um, Wizards of the Coast, in their wisdom, um, has made that older stuff available. And there's boatloads of content available on PDF and some for, if I remember correctly, print on demand. I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Don't want Spelljammer stuff.
Go get the old 2E stuff, or even the 3.5 stuff was better.
So I think I understand what Wizards was trying to do with the current Spelljammer. I just think that they failed at it.
Miserably.
Yeah, because yeah, Timberwolf here with this complaint. We have heard very famously about the lack of space combat rules. Um, that was something that they they missed it.
They dropped the ball. I mean, and I've said this for years with WotC. They, fifth edition was great for the gaming industry, but I think their credit is being placed in the wrong place. I think what is really propelled WotC and fifth edition is Critical Role and the plethora of streams that have come off of that. Because now, with the internet and streaming being like, look at us today. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we couldn't do what we're doing right now reliably, right? Which is four guys streaming through the internet consistently with halfway decent audio and or visuals. And Critical Role, they've been going how many years now? 7 years, I think. 3 years.
I believe it started in 2014.
Yeah. And I mean, I watched it from the beginning, and it was even worth watching way back then. And it's funny because Critical Role started as Pathfinder First Edition, and they converted to 5e, which I thought was a travesty. I would have much rather have seen it as a Pathfinder game. Now, that being said, and I know the rumor is Mr. Mean hates 5e. I don't hate 5e. I did just sell off a shit ton of my books, but I have the 3 core books, the GM screen. I have a bunch of Kobold Press stuff. I have the Eberron setting book. Yeah, the 5e Kobold Press is phenomenal, first of all. They make top-notch stuff. And in the video I did the other day about talking about stealing stuff from other games and using it for your current game of whatever that game is, I mean, Kobold Press is like they're amazing, and I got the Scarlet Citadel, which I plan on running in Pathfinder Second Edition because the map pack that came with that was phenomenal, and they are really giving Paizo a run with their flip mats because those maps are amazing if you can manage. It's hard to find now, but I got the hardback of Scarlet Citadel, the book, and it's amazing. I'm telling you, it's a really well written adventure. The Eberron book for 5e, I was a little, it was okay. I mean, it filled a niche that I wanted, but I have all of the Eberron stuff, everything for 3.5.
Yeah, I think
Oh, go ahead.
I think with the setting books that setting I'm gonna quote some of these books aren't really setting books at all. What they try to do is they try to cover just enough content to get DMs And if you want to have a deep dive, then you go to the DM Guild and some such. But that's fine because what killed TSR in part in the past was you know the much fracturing due to all the settings that they put out.
Right.
But with that being said, I don't know. Like I just feel like they could have. There are some things that they could have done better. Spelljammer was just kind of like I think
It was a big miss, man. It was a big miss. It was a
Yeah,
huge miss.
Eberron is actually my favorite official D&D setting.
Yes, mine too.
Yeah, and so as a matter of fact, I got both of Keith Baker's big books, the Chronicles of Eberron, which I just got last week, and it's sitting right behind me. I'm blocking it. I'm sure it's on my stuff.
It's on my shelf also, and I
Yeah.
just picked up the other one too. And that is one thing I would like to say that with all the misses that WotC's had with 5e conversions, the thing I will say that this to me makes me a little bit happy is because it allows people on DM's Guild a basis to work from. If they, how do I best put this into words? Let's go back to Spelljammer for an example. Same day it comes out, everyone has these things, and lo and behold, there's a bunch of third-party creators who have a bunch of PDFs, books, map packs, random counter tables, all this stuff lined up, and they have a basis to work from and be like, okay, I want to make this for my fellow GMs.
Let me cut you off, Timberworth. Let me cut you off because here's an example. You go buy a brand new car. You expect that brand new car to have a drivetrain, four wheels, working brakes, and lights, and a radio, right? Because you bought a brand new car. Let's take that same analogy and use it at WotC. They put out, we can even use the Eberron book, we can use the Spelljammer, we can use their last several books. Basically, what you're saying is you got to buy this book for $50, $60 from WotC. Now, to get a complete book, because you don't have a radio in there, you don't have working brake lights, and you don't have a transmission. You've got an A-frame for a vehicle, and you got a coat of paint on it. There's no interior. So now you got to go to DM's Guild, spend more money to get the rest of the stuff to make your game viable. Now, granted, you've already stated that you don't care about the space combat rules in Spelljammer for ship-to-ship combat. But let's logically look at this, that Spelljammer is a game where you've got the Githyanki, you've got the Ilthiad, you've got the Beholders, all spacefaring races that have a presence in space. And then, of course, we insert the PCs and the elves and everybody, and they have their ships. And nowhere in that book is there space combat rules for ship-to-ship combat. And how many people on launch day bought Spelljammer and went, first thing they looked for was ship-to-ship combat? 99% of those people. So you're going to buy a car with no brakes, no radio, no upholstery, and you're going to tell me you're going to be happy driving that off the lot? No. You want the bells and whistles in there. And WotC, I don't know what they were thinking. They just didn't provide it. And I hate to say this, but every misstep that they make drives more and more D&D players to games like low fantasy gaming, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, other fantasy genre games like Dungeon Crawl Classic, or whatever insert generic fantasy game XYZ in. Pathfinder 2e being a very large one that a lot of D&D players are switching over to. In my local game store right now, we have more Pathfinder 2e games than we do D&D games going on, because people are tired of buying books and not having, they got to, like you said, they have to go to DM's Guild to go get the material they want. And if it's not there, they got to either write it themselves, which if I got to write it myself, why the hell did I buy your book?
Right.
I mean, when I can pick up, and I will say, I give WotC credit for keeping the gluttony down on the amount of books they've produced. I think they've done a good job with coming out with a release schedule that doesn't break anybody's wallet. Third party publishers are just that, Kobold Press, whoever. Third party press is just that. You don't have to buy those books. If it's something that interests you, you can buy it. The fantasy equipment guide, for low fantasy, or the class guide for low fantasy, Brad's book. That is a book that you don't need that book to play low fantasy, but does it enhance it? Oh, hell yeah. Wiki Snapper's book for the arms and equipment. It's basically a Trade Winds is a phenomenal book. And the nice part about that one is you can use that. I use that book in my Warhammer Fantasy RPG game because it's that versatile. It'll fit any fantasy game. So you're being very polite, Timberwolf, and I appreciate that, but I am not going to cut WotC slack when they're charging $60, dollars a book, and they're promising digital content on, D&D Beyond, which I think that was a smart move for them to buy D&D Beyond. I really do. Them trying to turn D&D into a service platform, I think is smart, but they still have to remember, I mean, what's the age gamut here? I'm 55. Timber, you're what, in your late 20s?
24.
24. Ron, you're in your 40s?
I'm 48.
All right. And then Brad, you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have four different.
There is one person on this call that is in the Wizards of the Coast D&D target demographic.
And that's Timber.
You guess who that is? Exactly.
Yeah, it's Timber. Exactly. I'm a grognard. They don't want me.
If you didn't know this, at least in the 2020 stats, and the numbers probably have changed slightly.
A lot.
Somewhere around 75% the D&D players survey. When the Coast marketing survey, so they put the money behind it. 35 and under.
White males.
They have about 40%. They have 40% females.
It's way better than it was in like 2015.
Yeah, it's great. But the thing is that like 75% of the audience is under the age of 35. So
And why is that? Because D&D has become a household name thanks to Critical Role and shows like that.
So
Well, no, I totally agree with you. Doesn't make it right, though. Who just joined?
Miguel.
Oh, Miguel. What's up?
hello, sorry. Was a private party?
No, sir. You are more than welcome to join. Miguel's in. Where are you, Miguel? You're in Spain, right?
No, I'm at Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico. Yeah. So Miguel has been a long time subscriber and Patreon of Mr. Mean Speaks. He's helped support the channel very, very much. Sent me a cool microphone that I still use to this day. Miguel is awesome. He also, in the pins on the buy and sell spot on Mr. Mean Speaks Discord, I've posted his eBay store. Miguel has some, not to put Miguel on a spot, but he has some health concerns that he's dealing with. And so he's selling off. He has quite a watch collection. If I was into watches, man, I'd so because he's got some cool watches on his eBay store. So everybody that's listening to this, go hit up his eBay store if you find something you like. Help support a fellow gamer.
All right. The watch sale have been very good.
Oh, good. Or that's awesome, man. And you had a bunch of cool Kickstarters on there too. Things you supported via Kickstarter that you were selling.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to keep mostly the OSR games because it's very hard for me to get rid of them.
Right.
I have several iterations of OSR related games, and it's easier to get to sell the 5e
Yep.
items.
Yeah, everybody's buying 5e like crazy. which is cool. And I really feel part of that, though, is this, I don't want to say rumor because it's pretty much fact now that they are going to be switching to a digital demand platform. I think they're still going to do books, but I don't think they're going to be as readily available if this digital platform kicks off.
I don't think.
I think that they are trying to impose or trying to use the MMO
Subscription base?
and game model because eventually you will see they will go to the craziness of Magic the Gathering,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to buy something more to get stronger and to being able to keep up. I don't like that model. I move away from Magic the Gathering exactly for that, because you never could reach the best with what you have. You always need to buy something more.
Well, it's the crack method.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well-
I don't necessarily-
Oh, go ahead. You're good.
I'm about to say I don't necessarily think you'll do pay to play, but definitely subscription model stuff and microtransaction stuff is definitely trying to pop out. The readership, which is the coast of the matter. I mean, they basically admitted to this right on this fireside chat. I don't know if you guys have
Yeah, I watched it.
about to watch it. It's like they know 80% of the player base doesn't buy stuff.
Right. It's the GMs.
We have these most time of all time GMs that buy much that buy
Yeah, the statistic.
How do we get not how do we make more GMs?
How do we get more people to buy our stuff?
How do we get those other four players
Well,
to spend more money?
so the exact number was 22% of the Dungeons and Dragons player base. 22% are GMs. Of the 100% of people that are buying their products, the majority of purchases are by that 22% of the player base. So they feel, and this came from the CEO's direct mouth, that Dungeons and Dragons is underrepresented in the player base market. And they believe that by changing that, they can go to this digital platform, and they believe that D&D Beyond is going to facilitate that. And I do agree with them, because one of the things you can do on D&D Beyond right now is, so like Timberwolf, when you're running your game and you now have access to your Spelljammer, you can share that book with your players. So they don't need to buy the book. And I guarantee you, when WotC makes this change, when the new D&D 1 or 1 D&D comes out, and they switch to this digital platform as their primary platform, that ability is going to stop. They're not going to, I mark my words, I'm quoting it right now. I guarantee you they're going to turn that off, because they see the financials. If only the GMs are buying the books and then they're sharing it for free with the players, they're losing money. So, yeah.
I mean, isn't this like in a sense an old problem? Not from the company perspective, but like
Oh, in marketing in general, it's
from the DM's perspective. Don't we like we're a bunch of cheap we're a bunch of cheap people, right? Like
yeah. Well, here's the thing: what they want to do, and this is what blows my mind, and it's why I'm kind of, I understand it. I don't agree with it. What they want to do is they want to take the GM out of the game. They want you to use D&D Beyond and make it a pay-for service and have an automated GM, so to speak, like a computer game. And it's proof in the pudding that games that offer a subscription-based service and downloadable content are typically profitable in the first 2 to 5 years. After that, it starts to wane off, and I think personally, they're banking on the marketing to carry them that full 5 years, and you're going to have the early adopters. There's going to be people. I mean, Timberwolf just did it. He pre-ordered the Spelljammer book with the explicit desire to get the D&D Beyond content so that he can run his game online. right? Timberwolf. That was what you wanted, the Spelljammer stuff. But wasn't it a little bit of an extra incentive to get that D&D Beyond stuff?
So I actually didn't pre-order the Spelljammer that was available. I must have.
Or I mean Dragonlance, I'm sorry.
Dragonlance, yes.
Yeah.
The main incentive for me why I got it was both yes to have access to digital. Ironically, pretty much yes, the incentive was so it was on D&D Beyond, and I'd actually had a lengthy discussion with my party about this. And the thing about one D&D that had us really excited, if it works as advertised, the main reason why I got the Dragonlance stuff was because we plan to take advantage of the tool which WotC showed in the trailer for one D&D, which was the miniature and map setup. We plan to use the 3D application, and I figured, presumably, if I have Dragonlance, I'll either get a discount or something. So once the application comes out for the Draconian, Soft, the, uh, the Dragon Generals, etc. Point being, the characters in this book, I would presume, since I have it both D&D Beyond and physical, this is my assumption. I have no way of proving this until it comes out. Logically, there'd be some kind of discount, if not for free, for those monsters
Ah!
with the applicable Sig Mini.
I will laugh at you and say no. They're gonna $4.99 and download this DLC. That's what they're gonna tell you. You want
I have a question for you, Timberwolf. Do you prefer playing in person with paper, or do you prefer digital, or are you kind of 50-50?
I will do 50-50. I'll give you an honest answer when I get a reliable gaming computer for both personal use and D&D online. To use an actual application to make because currently what I have to do is I have to pile up my books. I have to take this little phone here and set it up, and I turn on my camera, and I get out the minis, I get out the map, I use my little tablet to track initiative, I get out my dice. That's what I have to do.
so what the bottom line here is, WotC's not targeting Timberwolf. WotC's targeting the kids that have a decent gaming computer or a high powered tablet like the Tab 8 from Samsung, or the any of the newer iPhones or iPads, and then high end laptops and or gaming rigs, right? That's who they're targeting, and I guarantee you that draconian racial class that you want to play eventually is going to be a DLC that's going to cost you $4.99 or $2.99 or whatever they deem the value is. They do it already on D&D Beyond with the different dice packs. I mean, I was playing in D&D and Beyond in my friend's game, and he had these cool red dice that look like little potion bottles. And I was like, where did you get that? How did you do that? He's like, oh, it's part of D&D Beyond. And I went there, I went into my account and I looked, and oh yeah, sure, for $14.99 you can download the. I'm like, nah, I ain't paying that shit. But think of how many kids out there, and I say kids 25 and under. I'm 55, so to me, if you're 25 or under, you're a kid. Right, exactly. I don't mean it as a derogative. I mean it simply as a generational gap. Ron, you and I are probably not going to pay, and maybe even Brad, I don't know. We come from a different generation where $14 for a non-physical product that you can't use anywhere else, that's stupidity.
Well, what they're doing really is they're kind of turning D&D into like a gotcha game.
Yeah. Well, it's Pokemon, right? You got to catch them all, and it's Magic the Gathering. You got to buy more packs. They want you. That's what they're turning. They've clearly stated that D&D will be online. It will be in conjunction with D&D Beyond. And I guarantee you next year we're going to see 2023 or by 2024 we're going to see a rebranding of D&D Beyond. It won't be called D&D Beyond anymore because WotC has a habit of taking over things and phasing out the old, reskinning it and saying, "Ooh, it's new, it's shiny, buy it now."
They may delay on that a little bit till they get closer to the release of the actual next edition, just to not scare people off, because they're gonna lose people.
Oh yeah.
Change that.
Yeah.
That's not unique. That's not unique to the situation.
No,
Right?
no. Well, and companies have to innovate. They have to, one of the biggest complaints, and I've been in this industry for 20 years on the sidelines, and in the RP, hobby for 30 plus. One of the things I can tell you that I've heard over and over and over is, Jace, you know, D&D's coming out with another version, or Mutants and Mastermind, three, coming. They're on their third edition, and there's rumors of a fourth, and blah rah rah rah. What people seem to forget is this is a business. Hasbro is in it to make money. White Wolf is in it to make money. That's why they put out. You don't have to buy these books. If you're running fourth edition D&D and your group is having fun, there is no one out there twisting your arm to say, Timberwolf, you have to go buy 5e. No one's making you buy it, but the marketing and the supposed those people, are all playing it. So you want to be cool and you want to be hip. So you got to go play fifth edition too. And
Yeah,
that's how they make
yeah.
money. They got families to feed, I mean, they've got, why do you think Critical Role switched from Pathfinder to fifth edition? It's simple economics, money, and market share. WotC, is the big boy on the block. TSR, before it was WotC. D&D is a household name thanks to Critical Role. Period. No one can argue that. And Critical Role and Stranger Things. Those two.
Being a fan of both.
Oh, me too.
Ironically, since campaign 1, I've been a fan, similar to you, Mr. Me. There is, whether it's one D&D or 5th edition, there is one third-party book that has been revealed but not fully detailed that I plan to get. And this is me as a person. I have a top 3 D&D setting for myself because of the things I like. In no particular order, it is ironically Dragonlance is on this list, and then Dark Sun and Spelljammer. Number 4 will always be Eberron because I love it as a concept. I think it's great.
It is.
Oh yeah, Keith Baker knocked it out of the park.
Amazing setting. Keep in mind, this is a new person to D&D, so if there's a setting that is really well known that I missed, don't take it personal. I think Greyhawk is great. I've looked into that one. But that's not to end this spiel. Acquisitions Incorporated, in their trailer for their coming second season, they had revealed a little piece of content that, if you're subscribed to Nerdimbers and you have heard about it already, there was a brand spanking new book on their desk, which they revealed. And they revealed it also at the very end of their latest PAX East live stream as well. Because at the end of that video is something X amount of hours long. Had a Mind Lords. There's either Mind Lords of the Sea of Silt or Mind Lords of Ashes. The top little corner it said Dark Sun, and it had the 5th edition D&D style logo and all these signals to me. And when I saw this, I was just like, I do not care if it's one D&D or this is going to be a 5e thing. Not when, but if, not if, but when Acquisitions pops this thing out, I'll be picking one up. Because Dark Sun, I was a late convert to this setting. The thing I like about the reason that Dark Sun and Eberron and ironically Dragonlance and Spelljammer are some of my favorite D&D settings is because they're, in my opinion, either just different enough or objectively majorly different than the Forgotten Realms, which I'm aware that Greyhawk was the original. I'm fully aware of this. I've learned this. I like those settings because they take things that make D&D fun, but don't do the standard way that the Forgotten Realms does them as it's currently presented. And that's what intrigues me about them. So any piece of content I can find that I feel is worth my time and money that will help me bring that type of fun to my party will immediately draw my attention.
Well,
outside of D&D, there's a number 1 RPG I want to try. After I play those RPGs, my fellow friend in the group / DM has bought just so I can dip my toes in other RPG spheres before I run one. Top of my list for an RPG to run that is not D&D in the coming years, because I love the setting. It sounds like a lot of fun. I plan to run Warhammer Fantasy. That is the top of my list.
Yeah, Warhammer's tried and true. I mean, that game is older than you. Yeah, I mean, well, it is. I mean,
I want to do that after playing in other RPG systems so I can get a feel for the differences. That's just the person that I am.
yeah.
Like,
Well, here's the thing. Even low fan, we'll pick on Brad here for a moment because Brad loves low fantasy gaming, and I don't blame him. It's a great game, and I love GMing it. I'm not a player. I tried playing it and I hated it. I just didn't like it. But I'm a perpetual GM, and I know that there's very few games I like to play. I am a GM, but low fantasy gaming. You know, I've heard of people that have done Greyhawk, low fantasy gaming in Greyhawk or the West Marches, right? And they're using low fantasy gaming as their game engine. Here's the thing, and this was the video I just 2 videos ago I just posted. It doesn't matter what game system you're running. If you have your setting, like let's say for you, it's what's the one, Dark Sun. You'll never see Dark Sun in this current climate, Dark Sun will never see the light of day ever again. Why? Slavery, number one issue. That is what Dark Sun was all about. It was all about slavery, and it's never going to see the light of day. And this woke community that we have, they're just not going to tolerate that. And I agree with it to a point, but I also agree in creative freedom. If you're playing, I mean, look at Vampire the Masquerade. You eat people to live. That's what that game is about. Or werewolf. Well, werewolf doesn't eat people to live. Vampire, you suck the lifeblood out of people to subsist. You are a killer. Werewolf, you don't have to kill people to live. You kill people to stop them from destroying Gaia and whatever they call it now, because it became a woke game, and I'm not into the new version of Werewolf or any of the World of Darkness games. But my point being, you can take low fantasy gaming if you don't like the old second edition rules or the AD&D rules, and you can take Dark Sun and you can run it in low fantasy gaming, and it will work just fine because low fantasy has psionics, it has martial arts, and it has all the mechanics that you would need to run Dark Sun perfectly. So all your source material that you have is completely viable. You just have to run it in a new game system if you don't like AD&D.
I actually found on Reddit, ironically, Mr. Mean, someone's already done the legwork. So any GMs listening to this video that run low fantasy gaming and like Dark Sun, it's for free on Reddit. You can go and find it on the Dark Sun Reddit. They've already done the conversion for you.
Yeah.
So that, wow.
Yeah, there was
I finally joined the subreddit because I'm just like, well, this is where ironically the really well-known home brewer that made the 5e Dark Sun Creatures Monster Manual is located. I would check the subreddit out. And I was scrolling through the stuff, and I was like, I found this, and ironically, I sent it to one of the guys on this server, Mr. Mean. Not the creatures, but the conversion. I said, hey, if you like low fantasy gaming, I know you like Dark Sun, here you go. He, of course, replied it's not a game system for him, but I'm glad that,
Yeah, you can find fan material. Again, I was just talking about this in my top 5 video. Savage Worlds is a perfect example of this, or GURPS. You can find whatever, the game system doesn't matter. It's the game world. You will find mechanics to make it work for your style of gaming. What were you going to say, Brad, before me and...
I don't know, like, I'd say probably on and off, Dark Sun is probably the most talked about setting for low fantasy gaming. And with Steve bringing up the companion book with the Scion in it, it's like, it's a no-brainer. You know, that's like, if you want to go get some old Dark Sun stuff, or like version, like you mentioned, it's perfect for it. Like the setting was, or the low fantasy gaming is perfect for that sort of setting.
And your entry cost to get into low fantasy is a hell of a lot cheaper than it is to get into, 5th edition, right? Yeah. I mean, I years ago I had the box set. Remember the box set for Dark Sun? It originally came out as a box set.
These are my two crown jewels right now.
I've got both of those. They're fantastic.
So this, for context, Mr. Mean, these two take the full original box set from both of them, and
Right. Yeah. I
in the DMs Guild hardcovers before for these. Basically, they take all the info for.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware of them. I have them in my collection too. I mean, I was a huge second, AD&D, huge. I had so much stuff for AD&D, But Ron, Miguel, now you're over there in Puerto Rico. Is D&D the de facto role playing game, or what's it like over there?
Well, I started with Rick, and then I found out that at the university there was a group of players, and they used to play D&D, AD&D, and storytelling system. And but now the new players are basically fifth edition. There's no problem for me, but because I see the merit of fifth edition, given that they basically resurgence the RPG again. And if you take 10% of those new players, you will end with more players than we had before. And some of them are curious and eventually will explore new. I see systems as code, a way of coding the rules. I, and I don't dislike any system particularly. Maybe I don't know them, but I don't say that this system doesn't work or it's bad. It's a different way of doing things. That's all. But you can say that the new players are basically 5G players.
Pretty much.
I agree with that.
But I have hope that top 10% that are curious and don't need grade or tests on our system are the ones that are going to be the old guys in the future that will be around uh, remembering second edition, first edition, original D&D, and the games that made leave a mark like Low Fantasy. That's a great game. Eventually, we're going to play it because we have I have I'm part of a small group of about 20 players, and there are a lot of DMs games, not as they stated in recently that there's a lack of 5P DMs. I think that may be some marketing and something that you throw around to create fake a fake impression. I don't know if you agree with that or not. I would like to know your opinion about it because
I'm gonna have to agree 100% with Miguel's opinion. Only if because I am on several discords of D&D related content, and I can go through the channels and I can check for looking for group versus looking for DM. The amount of DMs looking for players, whether it's of course on average it's D&D for instance servers about, but there'll be some Pathfinder in there. There'll
Move your hand.
Call of Cthulhu, the more well known, the more well-known RPGs. That's a bad habit. I talk to my hand. Sorry,
You set your camera up high.
Yeah.
There you go.
Um,
and there's a huge difference now because actually now you can talk to a developer. In the past, that was a dream. If you managed to have a reply with in a letter, that was huge. It was almost impossible. Now you can speak with a developer rather easily. And that still surprised me. Now I'm a very avid Kickstarter uh, backer, and chance to speak with several known developers, and basically most of them are doing that.
Yeah, Kickstarter is. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, just to say something about games and designer accessibility. Yeah, this is crazy. Like first of all, the fact that we have something like YouTube, but like second of all, like I can make a YouTube video, and the designer of the game can comment on my YouTube video, or I can have a conversation with them and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. You just when I started gaming in the late '80s, it was unheard of. From Lucky, I could write to like a magazine,
Shadis Magazine.
and hopefully they'll answer my question or what have you. Um, so that's really
I mean, look on my Discord alone. I mean, Brad is a publisher. I've got Mr. Steven Turner from Chivalry and Sorcery. You know, the latest edition of he's on there. God, who else? Steve Grodzetsky's on there. Jay Lasarde from Feral Games Inc. Maza, I can't think of his actual name. He's over in, I think he's in Bahrain, but he's produced a number of like OSR type games, his own imprint and stuff like that. So the access that we have today, it's a wonderful age to be a gamer because you can. Dracopool, I'm sorry about the audio. Everybody here is coming. It must be something on my end with the recording. I'm not quite sure how to fix that. I've turned up the gain on everything that I know how to do. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I've got the filter cranked all the way up. That's all I can do, sir. I'm not quite sure what the audio is or why it's being an issue. Hopefully, you can turn your volume up and hear them. If you join the Discord, though, which may not be an option for everybody, you can go in the Discord, and that's why I wanted everybody to be in Discord. I'm not quite sure what the max limit is on Discord for people. I think you can have numerous people in audio. I think video you're limited. But back to Ron, your point, and Timber, it's a glorious age to be a gamer. And Miguel, you stated it as well, that the access we have to editing, right? If and 20 years ago, Ron, 30 years ago for you and I, if you saw a typo in the game, at best you could type up a letter, maybe an email, and you could send it to them, and maybe you get a response, and maybe in the next printing of that book, it would be fixed. And now, because PDFs are so prevalent, I mean, Brad, I think you did this when you were putting your book together. You sent it out to the backers and stuff and said, hey, if you see any typos, let me know. And before you sent that book off to print, you were able to get that stuff fixed. White Wolf was notorious. Go ahead, Brad.
For like 6 months, I think, before I went to it.
Yeah.
I get excited when I see stuff like that. It's like, okay, here's an offer. If there's any type of, I'm like, get you, man. I'm going to roll some dice.
I just backed Dragonbane, which was doesn't it?
Yeah.
And they sent us the PDF. They didn't give us any world detail. They just sent us basically the mechanics. All right, Troy, thank you for tuning in, sir. I appreciate you watching, and have fun with WWE. That's a soap opera for men. You know that, right? Just throwing a little shade your way, brother. I hope all is good and enjoy your time. But Dragon's Bane, they went to Kickstarter. They obviously made enough money, and then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, Uh, nice there, Brad. 2 weeks later, we got the playtest version 1 of the PDF, and I know my friends were printing it. And I'm like, dude, they said right on the kicks, don't print this. We're gonna, this is basically to look at, and they even gave you a Google Docs to go in there and throw your errors that you find and stuff like that. So yeah, what a great age to be a gamer in right now. And just the fact of, I'm a real big fan of 5 parsecs from home, or 5 leagues from home, or 5 leagues on the borderland, which is a miniatures slash RPG kind of solo play game. And they just came out with a new supplement for it. Uh, and dude, I bought it. It was like $8, and I printed it. And it's at the UPS store right now getting spiral bound, and I literally within, oh, we crashed. I don't know what. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm don't leave me. Yeah, but yeah, Ron, you're right, and Brad, you're totally right, and Miguel, you're totally right. It is a glorious age to be a gamer, and to be a GM where you can just reach out via email or Discord and say, "Hey, what about this rule?" And people like Timber was asking tons of stuff about Dark Sun. I remember a couple weeks ago he was getting feedback from everybody and got tons of responses.
Yeah, I literally today asked in the DM Scotty's Discord, I literally asked a question about EGD6, and usually somebody else might answer, but he answered my question.
Right.
I'm like, in a matter of a few minutes.
Right. That access. And first of all, I'm going to say you're on DM Scotty's Discord. We can no longer be friends. I'm going to ask you to disconnect right now and never contact me ever again.
And the companies like Cobble Press, they promote uh, backer monsters, backer sales.
Right.
So there's direct input from and feedback from the backers and the users that eventually may land in something inside their books. So it's nice to know that you may have opportunity to design a spell like I did for Deep Magic of Cobble Press. I managed to get published delayed healing spell. And for me, that's something special and something that leaves a mark in in your basically hobby career.
Yeah.
That's what you can say. I managed to learn a spell in this book. And I feel nice about it. You need to learn that spell, please.
I was going to say, so I bought this at my local game store, but when I was at the convention last November, almost, well, over a year ago, up in Madison, Wisconsin, Victoria Rogers, I think was her name. She's one of the Kobold Press employees, and she was there at the convention, and she was trying to pimp me to buy this. I already owned it, because like I said, I got the map pack with it, which is actually hard to get now. But the fact that, she's the principal editor for this, and I was able to sit there and talk with her, Scarlet Citadel for 5e, Brad. I was able to sit there and talk with her about this book, and she was kind of, I don't want to say in awe, but she was enamored that I knew so much about it because it had just come out, but I had picked it up right before the convention. And it was already, she was like, "Oh, you got to buy the map pack because it's there. We've only got like 10 left here at the convention." I was like, "Ah, I've already got it." She was like, "Where did you get it?" And I was like, "My local game store. They had one copy in." And I bought it, as soon as I saw it right before I left for the convention. But yeah, in this day and age where you can sit there and you can talk to the designers at conventions, that's what Gen Con was 20 years ago. Gen Con and Gamma, and I've had the luxury of going to Gamma twice, and being able to sit there and talk with these, gaming luminaries, so to speak, or game designers. They didn't necessarily have to be luminaries, but being able to sit there and talk to them and fanboy out about, your, as Timber would say, Dark Suns was, and now it doesn't have the same, because I can just jump on Discord. Like I'm a huge chivalry and sorcery guy. So if I have a question about the mechanics or the world setting for CNS, I can just hit Steven up. Steven's on my Discord. He's on my Facebook, right? Even Facebook is another thing. Let's not rule out Facebook. As much as I hate it, it is a viable form of communication and very well known. So that access that we have as players and the purchasing public, our voice now has to be heard because of the digital media that we have access to, the lines of communication that Ron, you and I 20 years ago didn't have, unless we were lucky enough to get someone to get an email address.
No, I completely agree, man. Like, two things here. Like, when I first joined the Low Fantasy Gaming Discord, Steve, like, he's got charisma out the ass. I mean,
Man, if you guys have never seen Steve, and I never say his name right. How do you say it?
Gradzicki, I
Yeah,
think?
see, you don't even know. Steve is he's Australian, right? So Steve, I did an interview with him, and I swear to God, he's one of those ripped, like 2% body fat. His wife looks like a freaking superstar model, and I'm like, this guy's, and they both work for like the government in Australia. This guy is like, he's the James Bond of the gaming industry, and his wife, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, his wife is pussy galore. If you're a James Bond fan, she's gorgeous, and he's this handsome guy. I'm like, I fucking hate you, you know, but he was such a nice guy to interview and just so forthcoming and so nice. And Brad and I, we actually made the same mistake. We backed the new Kickstarter for Low Life 2090, and we had meant to click that we wanted the physical books, but we clicked for the low fantasy gaming books. So like the Kickstarter came and went, and then I get my shipping notification that, oh, your books are going to ship, and here's what you're getting. And I was like, no, I didn't order. I didn't want that. I wanted the Cyberpunk books. And so I reached out to Steve. Hadn't interviewed him yet. Didn't know who he really was, and he was so nice. He was like, "Yep, low life right there." He was like, "Oh, no problem. Well, yeah, I'm looking right here. You did click for the low fantasy gaming, but I understand you want low life. Here's what I'm going to do." And so he shipped me the low life book instead of the low fantasy. And then when he found out I was a YouTuber, and I said, "Well, hey, I do YouTube videos, blah blah blah. I'm a small channel. I'm nothing big, but I would love to get you on for an interview." He was like, I tell you what, let me send you my book. So he sent me the low life books. I bought Adventure Compendium 1, and I bought one of the other books, but he sent me the core book for free. And how freaking awesome is that? And he didn't really know me from anybody. Of course, now he probably thinks I'm a jerk, but
Well, like when I was writing my first stuff on Reddit, like he was like him and like one other guy was like, bring that over to the Discord. But he would actually like kind of revise it in his own way. So I was like, you don't have to do this, dude. But he did it anyway, and he was like, I love this. So
he's such an easygoing guy.
he really is. But like honestly, like I can't thank him enough because if it wasn't for his game, I might not be where I'm at in terms of publishing right now.
Wiki Snapper's the same way, right? Because he did the arms and equipment book for it. So
as a newcomer into the RPG sphere, one thing I have noticed that makes me quite happy, like a lot of groups of people, is that I think we help each other be better, which I like to see a lot, in my opinion. As you just said, you reviewed his book, and now you're where you are with your writing as an example.
Exactly.
one of the neat things about the gaming industry is you'll never meet in I don't think, as far as any other hobby that I know of, and I am by no means an expert, but it is one of the most open and genuine, diverse communities that you'll ever meet. Like nobody cares if you're black or you're white or you're Native American or you're heavy set or you're skinny or you're transgender or you're gay. It doesn't care. You all sit around the table and you chuck a bunch of dice and you tell a fun story. And if you walk away from that gaming table, and conventions are great for this because it's happened to me many times, you walk away from that table going, man, that guy was really cool, or that lady or that person was really cool and I had a blast. And that's really all that matters. You have cliques in a lot of hobbies, but like in the role-playing hobby, you have cliques as well. But I've never met a D&D player that goes, "Oh, you play Pathfinder, I can't talk to you." I've never run into that. And I've been doing this for close to 40 years. I've never once run into that. I've run into people that may go, "Oh, you're a big fat smelly guy with long hair and a crazy beard. I don't want to hang out with you." But we played the game and we all had fun and then we went our separate ways. You'll run into that. But I don't think, and Ron, being a young man of color, have you run into anything weird like that? Like any racist? I mean, I hate to say it, it probably has happened
I've never had any like overt racial incidents.
because you're a freaking awesome guy, first of all.
I would say I have had.
Oh, we lost it. Yeah,
Why'd you kick him, Mr. Main?
I did. It was. I'm racist. I don't like other people talking besides me, so I booted him. He's out. Timber, you're next, buddy. Ron, you there?
Yes. I'm going to say a couple of quick things and I'm going to drop off. I have had situations where I think people were trying to be helpful and they weren't being helpful because they made assumptions about me.
Right.
And so I would have to say that is the worst.
The
thing
stereotypical.
that has happened to me.
Yeah.
Right. That's happened to me. Now I've had some online interactions that have been racist, but quite frankly, I've had that outside of the gaming circle too.
Right. Right.
And so, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, part of life. There's some people that are just jerks out there.
Yeah.
I would have to say on the whole, the gaming community is very open and very welcome. We're also we're also willing to learn. We're also willing to learn and evolve. Because there are things that we don't say now that we used to say 20 years ago, myself included. And so, but because we do change, and like as far as other stuff is concerned, I'm not going to use any terminology that some folks use or what have you. I think that I think we may at times lose a sense of nuance in our conversations,
Yeah.
and that can cause some conflict. But
Yeah.
really, we're all. I won't say we're all. For the most part, we're good people.
Yeah. Well, no, you're absolutely right. And a lot of and speaking of good people, my wife is standing just outside of camera shot. She looks at me, she smiles, and she goes, "That's love, right? Right? So
And on that note, I had to drop off.
Ron, peace, love, and happiness, brother. And remember, be nice."
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I ran across his. I forgot what I was looking for. I think it was a superhero game, and one of his videos popped up, and I watched it. I was like, "This dude's cool." He's so low key, and he's just mellow, and he's so enthusiastic about it. And it was like, so I subscribed to him. And then my friend uh, uh, Dave or David. He actually knows Ron, and so I think he brought him in. Yeah, he brought him in, and David I can't think of David's Winmark is his name on my Discord channel. David Winmark.
What is it?
Worlds Without End.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Worlds Without Number.
Right. Yeah, we played that with him. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. He was the GM for
He
that.
has some good-
Yeah, super cool guy. Uh, Draco Pool on YouTube chat says that YouTube channel RPG Elite, run by Servant of Shiloh, put out heavy videos about race representation in gaming. He is black and he thinks it's a crock. I mean, racism exists everywhere, man, and the only way it's going to go away is if we stop talking about it, and we make it a thing. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to exist as long as people talk about it in a negative light. So, I mean, I grew up Native American. I lived a lot of my life on Oklahoma on an Indian reservation. I look whiter than white, man. You don't get much more, honky than this. And I got in fights every day because I was the white guy, But it's funny because when I take pictures, I show up as a red man. So it's kind of funny. And there's a genetic marker for Native American males that have crooked index toes. So you have your big toe and then your index toe, should be straight. Mine canters off. And both of my toes do that, which is a sign of strong native lineage. And my youngest son, both of his toes do the same thing. And he's whiter than white. My son looks like Casper the Ghost. So you can't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? We're all people. We're all people, and we all bleed red. And I say, my wife will tell you many, many times. I say I hate people left and right. But I talk to strangers all the time. I'm a talker, but I do hate humanity in general because we're just a bunch of Neanderthals. Um, Everybody's pretending to be characters or personas from Lord of the Rings, says Kane Hefner, uh, Sergeant Wojak, talking about Polish names because I couldn't say Greznowski's name. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Got to wear sandals then, toes represent. Yeah, that's right, Dracpool. I do wear sandals. It's funny, growing up native, I didn't wear shoes. And to this day, my wife will tell you, the moment I get in the house, first thing comes off is my shoes and socks. I'm a barefoot guy. It's just that's the way it is. But it's kind of almost a drag show. Okay, Kane. But yeah, Miguel, are the eBay stuff going well? You're doing good with that?
This is the weakest week because
Okay.
it's before Christmas and usually people keep the money in their pockets.
Yeah.
I expect that after Christmas I'm going to normalize. It's going well. I have about three recurring buyers from Spokane. I don't know if it's Kentucky or
Spokane?
uh
That's in Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
The Wizard of the Coast general office located.
I think it's Redmond, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You say where?
California, I think.
No, I thought Watsy was in Redmond.
I could be wrong.
Well, you can do a quick Google search and it'll tell you. They may be out of California. I thought they were in Redmond, Washington, because they're also Microsoft is up there. There's a number of game companies that are up there in that area, the Spokane, Washington area.
Cali, but it could have changed.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't work for Watsy. I don't think I would even if they offered me a job. Well, maybe they would. They've got money. It's funny because everyone seems to think that Watsy's like this billion-dollar company. Remember, they were going under when Hasbro bought them. They had the worst year's sales and everything. And I think honestly, somebody that was working at Watsy knew somebody at Hasbro and said, "Hey, have I got a deal for you?" That's personally, I don't have any insider knowledge, but I think that's legitimately what happened. And Hasbro stooped in and said, "Ooh, this is a cheap buy." And I don't know if they feel they're making enough money on it or not, but they're making money. And I think Paizo only has I want to say like less than 12 permanent employees. Everybody else is a contractor, So
They have a better deal than TSR.
oh yeah. Well, TSR got hosed big time. Yeah, and remember Richard Garfield, the guy who owned Gen Con, was the guy who created Magic the Gathering, and then he sold it to WotC for a large chunk. Well, yeah, sold it to WotC for a large chunk of money, and I think that was kind of the downfall of WotC because they were making money with Magic, and then Magic slumped off there for a couple of years. Of course, it's back now stronger than ever, but Magic is, and now the Hasbro bigwigs are trying to capture that magic, quote unquote magic of Magic the Gathering in D&D, and I don't think it's going to work. Now, if the electronic stuff works, that'll be great. But WotC's in Renton, Washington, near Seattle. Yeah. So thank you, Dracopool. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's hard out there, and that's why the whole thing, like Brad, I mean, I know I interviewed you and I was super excited about your book and everything. I like to represent the indie publishers because they don't get enough love. They don't get enough, and there's some cool stuff that's being done out there. Timberwolf, you pointed out, the DMs Guild.
Say thank you for what you did for Smartful. I really do.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I thought I was going to try and get him on the channel for an interview, but I don't think he ever responded back to me, but that's fine. If it gave him some exposure or whatever, then that's I call that off white. Kane, you're
As a person who backed playing Gia, I'm quite excited.
yeah.
I probably won't back his next project only because while an entire setting book on a poster map sounds fun for most people, I really don't have room to store a book like that. So it's more storage space for me.
Yeah, exactly. And well, like David Winmark, our buddy that's on Discord, he's a PDF guy. It's like every Kickstarter I mention, he's like, "Oh yeah, I backed that," and then he'll throw in at the PDF level, because he doesn't have space. He doesn't have space. He doesn't have space for physical books anymore. He's only got X amount of, and I mean, I got 3 boxes down here, moving boxes full of books that I've got to get out to FedEx, to Noble Knight Games. So if you want to own a part of Mr. Mean's collection, you can go to Noble Knight Games in about a month, and you'll be able to buy some. Yeah.
Come the time where I get enough money in my next paycheck, this is my plan as of right now. I'm gonna hit up D&D Beyond and just buy the entire module pack and be done with it for the current 5 modules. I already got Dragonlance. So aside from that, just gonna buy the module set. I'm gonna find either a kids shelter or a community center or my friend Tyler. I'm just gonna be like, here you go, and just give them the modules.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I would recommend you find like your local book shelter or library and donate, or even a school. Look out to your local schools, because a lot of schools now are having after school programs where like certain teachers are running games for kids and stuff like that. And I donated my D&D books to the local school. I went to my local game store in Superior and I said, do you know of any schools that are taking books? And he was like, if you have books to donate, give them to me and I will make sure they get to the local schools. And I just happened to be in the store a couple months later, and I was talking to the owner, and a guy came up and said, "Hey, are you Mr. Mean?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Thank you for the donation of books." The owner, uh, I think it's Jared or Jaron, he gave me your book, so thank you so much. I'm using those books now to teach, middle grade kids. And I was like, "That's super cool. You can't beat that." So yeah, and I think that's awesome. What's Dracopool is saying? I buy PDFs, but then fill envelopes with photocopies of the sheets and the games I like. Copies at my company and my company are tracked, except at the company library. I'm not quite sure what you're saying. So no, it doesn't save space. Oh, he prints them. Yeah, I do the same thing. I have a lot of spiral bound books here. I mean, right here, I have another gaming sheet.
I actually made a mistake in basically my college classes with a monster manual that I printed in PDF form, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, you didn't misappropriate college resources for personal use. Of course not. No college student ever does that.
Yes, I totally did it intentionally and didn't feel horrible at all.
Yeah, I was an IT manager for years, and I can't tell you, and so I always had access to the print server. So I would go in, print my books, and then go into the print server and delete the foot trail, so that you never know that book was printed. I'm smart. I'm smart. SMRT smart. Yeah, Miguel, do you have any cool stories like that, sir, over there in Puerto Rico? I mean, you're a college educated young man.
For the young part.
I like to be nice, even though I'm mean.
I'm, I'm just, um, uh, the first book that our storyteller had was a bunch of copies from the Vampire the Masquerade. And
Nice.
it was about 4 times the size of the normal printed book.
Oh, nice.
It was very funny.
I can imagine.
But I can tell you that actually, well, now you have the money, you're working, and it's not hard to buy printed copies. But actually, the space is running out too.
Yeah.
And for the actual situation of my health, I need to to sell those hard copies, but I still have the PDF, so the damage is not that big.
Yeah. Yeah, but now you have something physical to sell to help support your medical expenses. So in a way, I mean, yeah, it sucks to be getting rid of your physical books that are in your collection, but in a way, it's helping you hopefully to live a better life. So in a way, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and the process is very curious because I check the books and then I say I think this one is gonna go. I will keep this one the most time I can. And actually, the ones that are going are the 5B ones, and some scenes that I bought, very interesting ones. But
Well, it just shows that you're a young man of discerning taste and a follower of the meanie army, that you're selling off all your 5e stuff because you have taste. It's clear. It's clear to me as daylight that, Mr. Mean has influenced you in a proper way, and you have found the joy of indie games, and, thus getting rid of your 5e books because they're rubbish.
The only official 5e modules I do the air quote intentionally. I plan to keep is the Ghost of Saltmarsh and obviously Dragonlance, and I'm probably gonna keep my starter sets just because they're my first books I actually got.
And Timber, the next time we do a video chat, if you put your hands in front of the camera, I'm going to fly through the internet and cut your fingers off.
Okay, I'll pull it farther back.
Put your hands in your pocket. Put like your parents used to tell you when you're in the grocery store. Put your hands in your pocket. There you go. You're good. Or set the camera further back.
there's a criticism that I have with D&D is that they are recycling old
Oh
material.
yeah. Well, there's nothing new.
I expected that they will uh, bring something new to the table, but they're basically doing adaptations of old material. So that means that the things that we had when we were younger were the best things because they are using it
They're recycling
in
it.
the
Well, you got to remember too. Go on, and we keep picking on WotC, but you could do this with White Wolf. You can do it with GURPS. You can do it with Palladium. You go on their forums or their discords, and you constantly get, when is book X going to be remade? You know, um, Kane, you are a sick mofo. I love your sense of humor, dude. Hogwarts 5e. I'd buy that one. Only if there's got naked pictures of Harmony. What's her name? I don't even know. Anyway, that's the only reason I'd buy it. See her in a thong breastplate and bikini armor. But that's neither here nor there. I'm old enough to be her grandfather, so. But
what's the setting that they develop the one with the workforce.
Oh, Eberron.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah.
That's the most recent, and that was about how many years ago?
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah, because that was during 3.5 heyday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we lost we lost Timberwolf. I think I don't know if his video crapped out or maybe he had to go potty. Um, but yeah, they're just But that's the thing is, you know, Timber is young. Obviously he's in his 20s, so all of this is new to him. So we remember Eberron or not Fading Suns. That's a completely different game. Dark Sun. All the Dragonlance. I remember I have all the originals, right? And so you go on those forums and you keep seeing people saying, "Oh, when are you going to reprint or when are you going to update, Dark Sun to 5e?" Because we're the ones now that have money and we want those books in the latest greatest rule set, right? And they're gonna recycle stuff to make money. Uh, Forgettable realms. Draco Pool. Between Kane and Draco Pool, you guys are just nuts.
There he is.
Hey, he's back. Yeah, no worries. But
I see, Marion, your exposition, what you're saying, makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah. I mean, and then they're going to make money, and think about it. If all they have to do is take, let's pick on Dark Sun because it's a classic setting. All they have to do is convert it, the monsters, the world mechanic, and this is again pointing to my previous video. You don't need the modern mechanics to play your favorite game. Use the mechanics that excite you or you like. I've just recently fallen in love with Castles and Crusades. Almost 90% of everything that's in low fantasy gaming I can use in Castles and Crusades.
Yep.
It's almost directly portable. There's nothing in there that I got to scratch my head and try to figure it out. A kobold is a kobold is a kobold. Doesn't matter what game mechanics I put on it. I just need to make it work in my game. And if there's a suitable creature in the game, my game of choice, I can just use that creature, and then call it a kobold. Who knows? If you're not sitting behind the GM screen, you're never going to know. All you know is, hey, I fought a kobold, and that's familiar to me. And so it made sense, for that realm or whatever it is, or a Thri-kreen, for Dark Sun. But God forbid first level characters run into one of those because that's not good. But
It's funny you should bring up settings like that though. Like, do you remember the third edition Forgotten Realms campaign setting?
yes.
Like, and how beautiful that book was.
Oh, did you see the fourth edition book? It was even pretty. It doesn't matter if you don't like the mechanics, that's fine. But the book was a work of art. I have them sitting right up there, along with my fourth edition box set. And I hated fourth edition when it came out, but now that I'm a little older, I went back and I flipped open those books and I gave them another read. And you know what? It's not a bad system. They were going for a more cinematic, aggressive stance to D&D, and obviously miniatures required. But how many GMs run with miniatures already? I do. I use flat plastic. I mean, here's my entire miniature collection.
Damn.
And I have just about everything I need. I got demons, they're all flat plastic. They take up no space,
Yeah, getting at is like campaign book in second edition box set used to be like very detailed. I just feel like after third edition, it's like
Totally agree with you.
they're they're trying, and like for example, I bought I loved Eberron. The third edition Eberron books were beautiful.
Oh,
I bought the fifth edition Eberron book. It was okay.
I was completely let down. I'm not going to lie. It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, and the back is even better looking.
Of the content from third edition, but like you don't get like a whole world. You get like maybe like a fraction of that world.
The original,
Yeah.
and here's what kills me. The original has 320 pages is the original book. 320 pages. The reprint, 320 pages. But yet,
Really?
when you read these, they read entirely different. Some of the base information is there, but I think this is far better, the book, than this one. The art in here,
Smaller.
yeah, but they're same size, 320 pages, about the same thickness, you know. This was $39.95. This was $49.95. Same page count.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Well, let's see. Eberron, what's the print date on here? And by the way, Keith Baker was a TSR or Wizards of the Coast employee, or TSR. He was a TSR employee, although they opened up the setting to everybody, including their own employees, and he won. But there were some other settings that I remember reading like they did a poll, and some of the versions were astronomical. They were just so good. But I will admit, this is my favorite Dungeons and Dragons setting out of all of them. I think this is really. I'm trying to see if there's a date in here.
I like the thing that I will say that I liked about Eberron that
2004, first printing. So almost 20 years later, right? 18 years later. This came out last year, right?
um,
2019. So yeah.
yeah, so I don't make it seem like D&D is the only RPG that's going to intrigue me. While I know very little about Warhammer Fantasy, what I find really fun or interesting about it is because it takes a lot of things on in fantasy, but it does drastically change several.
You got to remember, Warhammer's almost as old, if not as old, as D&D. It's Britain's version, or it's England's version to D&D, and it came out shortly after D&D did. Just by only a couple of years. I think early 80s, 81 maybe. D&D was 1976, 77. There's some argument there when it first came out. So you're talking 4, 5, maybe 6 years difference. And I think Warhammer hasn't really changed. Yeah, the game mechanics have changed a little bit. World setting's the same. Basic mechanics are the same. It's a percentage-based system. It's always been a percentage-based system. And your first edition Warhammer books are still viable. 20-something years later, still good. 30-something years later, still good. So, I mean, you get the core book for Warhammer Fantasy right now from Cubicle 7, and you get the first edition of Warhammer, and there's not a whole lot of difference. The magic system is different because they revamped it in the second printing of Warhammer Fantasy. I don't want to call it a 2.0, but they did revise the magic system. They totally went with a new system, which obviously worked out well for them. Then you've got the Green Ronin version of Warhammer Fantasy, which to me is the best one yet. Cubicle 7's is good, and I do like it. I just finished up 6-7 month campaign of running Warhammer every night. We ran it, well, not every night. We ran it every week, every Friday night. We ran it here at my house in Duluth. And I had ran it for about 6 to 8 months. I can't even remember how long we ran it. So yeah, it was a good campaign. It's a good system, but I think Green Ronin, their version by far is my favorite. It's the best because it was presented the best. The mechanics were really solid, and the number of books, and I have all of them. The books that they came out with were very well done, very concise, and were that setting. They were solid books. But Green Ronin knows how to do RPGs. I mean, look at Mutants and Masterminds. Whether you're a fan of the system or not, the game is on its third iteration, and there's about 10 to 15 books for each version, and they're all solid. They're all well done. Because
Say that though about Green Ronin. My first experience with them was True 20, which I know is like the precursor to Mutants and Masterminds in its current form, to some degree anyway. But I took a lot of inspiration from that when I'm doing Revolt. And like basically you have three classes that you want to pick. if you're combat based, skill based, or magic based, and then you just build whatever you want off of that.
Yeah. So look, I mean, that's the past influencing the present, right? I mean,
Exactly.
it's a good mechanic. Yeah, it's a good mechanic. It worked, and you adapted it to fit your game system. That's awesome. Eberron, I think, is an amazing setting. I really think they did a great job with this setting, and I don't think WotC's had as good of a setting yet. For what it is. So
Actually, another setting that it's not D&D related, but is Privateer Press's Iron Kingdom.
Uh.
They make some really cool settings too.
you can't see them up there, but I have, and they went 5e and horrible. The
Oh, yeah.
reviews that have come in have been, I mean, well, first of all, the books were printed in China. They're falling apart. So that's bad. They went with a bad printer. So that's horrible. And I personally feel that their Privateer Press's game mechanic, I forgot what they call it, was phenomenal. And I have the two main core books. I have Unleashed, which is the more feral setting. Yeah, the monster setting where you could play, Trollkin and stuff like that. And then I have the Monster Nomicon for it.
Nice.
And then I have the GM screen, which probably one of the best GM screens ever put together because it just came with so much cool stuff, template.
Too, though, the 3.0 the D&D 3.0 versions was actually really good too. The world book itself,
Uh-huh.
I don't think had any mechanics in it at all, like for the 3.0.
No, it was all setting. And then they did, I think it was 3.5. It might have been 3.0, but they did the Witch Queen or whatever whatever the Witch Queen was.
I think
Which,
it was the Witch Queen or
and I didn't buy that because I wanted it for the Iron Kingdoms RPG and I couldn't find it. It's actually hard to come by now. If you can, I don't want to say a collector's item, but it's just about almost a collector's item. But the 5e version of Iron Kingdoms is just utter garbage. Kane Hefner says, funny thing is he bought fourth edition for the kids. They messed with it for a year, and then the little ingrates wanted to go back to second edition. The little ingrate. Yeah, well, at least they've got good taste in games, or versions. Second edition is probably still my favorite. I was a big fan of 3.5.
Roman Belgium, have a good time.
Yeah, I want to play a flump, so I don't care about anything else. Just want to be a flump.
Probably they're up there. Speaking of which, I ironically have yet to crack open the adventure with 5e Spelljammer. So I'm sorry to say, anyone here listening to the stream, I cannot comment on Flapjack, the space pirate flump NPC, because I've not read.
But he's in there.
But he I don't know if he's in the module. He was in the WizKids product line for the Spelljammer minis with this set, so I'm assuming he's in.
Yeah, he's in there. We're about to wrap it up because we've been going for almost 2 hours. Miguel, please, in the show notes there on YouTube, go ahead and put a link to your eBay store on YouTube. This will be posted to YouTube as soon as we hang up, or you can go there now if you want. But please, I wholly encourage you to help support your eBay sales. To put a link in there. And of course, you're free to keep posting on the Discord, of course, as you've been doing. Guys,
I'm sorry that I crashed in a live stream. I didn't know that it was a live stream.
you are not crashing. First of all, sir, you've been a strong supporter of the channel, and I'm glad to finally put a voice to the name. So thank you so much for coming in here and sharing some wonderful conversation with us. Timberwolf, didn't you used to be Wanderer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but something went with your
on the old account, and so I switched to this one.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, you're back in, so that worked. Brad, as always, my brother from another mother, I love you, man. You make. I can't wait to see Revolt, and definitely if you go to Kickstarter, we'll definitely get you on. Either way, we'll get you back on the channel to do an interview. Revolt, yeah, look for it coming from Brad Ullman. What's the name of the company? It's
Goblin Scribe.
Goblin Scribe Gaming. Yeah. So, and he's got a cool logo. Wiki Snapper.
Thinking about you guys' content. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. It sounds right up my alley. Wiki Snapper redid my channel logo, so he put the URL and then my email, I think, on the bottom. So he did a great job. And he sent me as an early Christmas present. This is just he's fucking cool, if I may say. I put the sticker on there, but it's a dice box. And when it's magnetized and it's strong magnets, but it's got, so the top part is you can roll your dice. It's padded, and then this will fit, smaller miniatures that aren't, egregiously posed. And but these are all, I mean, that's a decent metal D20, and I got room in there to spare. So it's awesome. And so I take this with me every night when I run or when I play Pathfinder, and it's awesome. So it's really, why am I not closing? What did I do? I fucked something up. I am a moron.
Make a recommendation of a product real quick.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it, man.
I'm pretty confident most of you listening to this stream who play 5e D&D already know about these books. But if you don't, over on both Drive Through RPG and the DM's Guild, Dragonix's Monster Manual Expanded Volume 1, 2, and 3. These books are worth your money. He's currently reprinting. He's already reprinted Volume 1 and is updating Volume 2 to be more in line with the Monster of the Multiverse style stat blocks. So if you haven't picked any of these up yet, I'd recommend wait a little bit for him to finalize Volume 2. He's redoing all the art, adding new monsters, updating the stat blocks. I think they're worth your time and money. Those would be my recommendations. Outside of the baseline D&D stuff, I'm gonna say it again. Sandy Peterson's Call of Cthulhu 5e is also quite good.
Yeah. I've met Sandy Peterson, and he came off as a douchebag to me, but that's, I am nicknamed Mr. Mean. Yeah. He was at a convention in Rice University down in Texas, and he was pimping his Cthulhu Wars, and he was kind of a jerk, to be honest. I know, me and my buddy Thomas Allison, which I'm surprised he didn't pop into the chat tonight. He's known as Grumpy Cat or Ugly Cat on my Discord. He's a grognard like me, and yeah, we did not have a pleasant experience with him. And Thomas, he wanted to play. I'm not a big fan of Cthulhu, but Thomas wanted to play the game. Uh, and we played the game. I wind up winning, which was amazing because I could care less. But he was trying real hard to sell us on the game, but he was just, if you're trying to sell a game, I feel, especially a competitive board game, you want to be aggressive, but yet you want to let the people you're trying to sell the game kind of win, right? Because you want them to feel good, But he was trying to pound the shit out of us, and of course he lost. But yeah, we walked away with kind of a negative impression of him, just the way he was treated. I assume it was his son that was with him, or if it was an employee, that guy should be a saint, because I would have told him to go fuck himself, and I'd have walked away and left him high and dry at the convention. But because he treated that poor kid like dirt. But some people are like that. They just rub other people the wrong way. I know I'm not for everybody, so I get it. But I'm going to say, Miguel, thank you so much for tuning in and chatting with us from Puerto Rico. That's awesome. Timberwolf, thank you for jumping in and chatting with us. You were the first one, so kudos to you. And Brad, we haven't talked in a while, so I, dude, you know where I'm at. So,
Yeah.
I do see you on the Low Fantasy Gaming. I think you're a moderator now over there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see you over there posting every so often. I'm still watching. So, and then to everybody else who jumped in the chat, Kane, Draco Pool, everybody else, TTBS who dropped off for a while, and some other people that had to go watch wrestling. Thank you guys for watching. This will be up on YouTube as soon as I hang up. It'll take a couple minutes to render. Troy Williams, thank you so much. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody I missed. Brad, I don't know that guy. He's a jerk. Um, Coco B, awesome. TTBS, awesome. So yeah, Wiki Star Anvil never popped in, so must be a long dinner, or it was late for him. He's old. But thanks to all the meanings out there. As always, like and subscribe. Go check out Brad's Essential Toolkit. It's or not Essential Toolkit. It's the class guide.
That's Toolkit Compendium
Yeah.
for Low Fantasy Gaming.
Yes, it's on drive through. It is well worth your what is the cost of it?
$1 for the PDF and 10 for the
Book.
for the actual
Soft pack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go check it out, guys. It's awesome. If you haven't checked out Low Fantasy Gaming or Low Life 2099, check them out. They are amazing. Yeah, by Pickpocket Press. Timberwolf, hang around, man, on the channel because we're going to get you exposed to a lot of different games, better games.
I am more than
I had to get that right hook in there for against Swansea, you know.
I am. I'm still very new to this sphere, and
Yeah, definitely dive into Warhammer Fantasy. You'll find it's a much better game, and it plays a lot smoother than 5e. 5e breaks down right around between 10th and 12th level. The mechanics just don't hold up to the game.
who has learned that quite well. I am confident.
Yeah. So everybody else, thank you so much for watching. We had a fun time here. We'll do it again. It was very impromptu, so I'm appreciative of everybody who jumped in. And we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Thank you guys for everything, and we'll catch you next time. And remember, as always, Mr. Mean says, be nice.